Hey everybody, Pastor Vern here with your daily update for Thursday, June 25th, 2020. We talked about yesterday that we're going to talk about some of the women of the Bible coming up in these visits that we're going to have, and we're going to try to pick out some that maybe we have heard the names, we're somewhat familiar with, some we're not, but those who are maybe a little less prominent that we don't know so much about. So, for our first one today, we're going to talk about Eunice. Eunice was the daughter of Lois, who is mentioned in the scriptures also. Lois and Eunice were both very faithful people. We know that Eunice had married a man who was a Gentile, though, but we don't know much about him because he's not named in the scriptures. We assume that by the time some of these major events that I'm going to tell you about happened, that he had already passed away. What Lois and Eunice are both known for, and Eunice is, I'm just kind of picking her out of the pair. They're almost inseparable in a lot of the story they're in the scripture. And they're referred to by Paul for their faithfulness is that Eunice was the mother of Timothy, Paul's companion. Now, what makes that important is that Timothy was a very young man when he started to travel with Paul and be his sidekick, his second, or however you want to say it. But he had a deep personal piety and a deep, very personal information and knowledge of the scriptures, which came from his mother and his grandmother. And so what we see here is women of faith who have taken control of the spiritual direction of their household, even in the biblical times. These are women who seen the value of knowing this living and loving God. And as Paul comes along and he starts to share the good news of Christ, they understand that this is what they had been waiting for to hear, that this was the news of salvation that had been alluded to in the scriptures and that they had studied and they knew well. And now Paul comes with the message that, yes, the Messiah has been here and the promises have been fulfilled. And as they see that, they also see that we see that their instruction for Timothy has made him a worthy partner for Paul going forward. Timothy did not have firsthand knowledge of Christ, as Paul had gotten information from many different sources that would have been first generation followers of Christ. And he was ready to train the next generation and needed this traveling partner. He would not have been prepared. Timothy would not have been prepared without the home-based teaching of the scriptures that Eunice and Lois provided. Think about that. The home-based teaching of the scriptures, which allowed Timothy to find his place among the apostles going out into the world. That is a tremendous contribution to the Christian story. We find someone who has gone above and beyond to make sure that their offspring is prepared for what comes next in their faith life, that they have the basic knowledge they need of the scriptures and the heart to take on the new information of salvation. I think it's one of the tremendous gifts that we see the women give in the Bible. And we see that in people's homes today, that women often are the spiritual or the providers of spiritual and scriptural information to their children. And that's a wonderful gift that they give to their children, a base that takes them forward into adulthood and gives them a base for the future where their lives can be based on something other than the fleeting moments, the fleeting information, the fleeting trends of a world that seems to find little direction sometimes. Let us remember Eunice, a person who shared their faith with their child in such a way to prepare him to be a person who not only could follow Christ, but could share the good news. Well, you take good care of yourselves. Watch out for others the best you can. Stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.